Scooped up down the sideline. Eddie Jackson. Jackson, it's a foot race, and he's going to win it. Touchdown, Bears.
And culture.
I told him I was going to get 35 or more, and we was going to win. And we did that. For the culture.
Only right here. WVON 1690am.
It's 11:07 on the south side of Chicago, and you are officially rocking with the Bigs. I'm your man, Terrence Tomlin.
Once again, you already know I need no introduction. We're here live on 87th Street, and we got an epic one tonight, T.
Definitely, man. For those who don't know, that's my man Gino, holding it down as always, back into the studios. Man, we got a great show lined up for you guys tonight, man. You know, since we've been doing this, we hold it down on the high school scene. Love giving the platform to the kids, one that they deserve, man, one that they didn't have. So it's only right tonight we bring you a very, very special guest. Gene, our first in-studio guest. We got him sitting right across the table from us. The one and only Coach Rob Smith from the Simeon Wolverines joining us in studio tonight to rock with the Bigs.
How you feeling tonight, Coach?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you guys having me.
Man, home of Chicago, man, the home of legends, where we build legends, man. Coach, you won. You're a legend in the making. You already got your foot in the door. 6 state championships, 6 city championships. Give the people a little background history on you, man.
It's been a challenge, and a hard road. I started at Curie High School, a while back. I just started there, coaching the freshman team. And I went through all the proper channels. I coached elementary, I coached freshmen, I coached sophomores, and then I was able to take over at Simeon as the varsity coach. So I just went through all of the channels, the proper channels, and got the great guidance.
Definitely, man. Your reputation precedes you. Every time we get a chance to cover you guys, we all like, oh, man, we going in to Rob Smith's house. You've covered some of, our favorite hoopers over the last decade or so. They all come from the famed Simeon High School. But, man, definitely today I want to, go deeper into your legacy, give the people more insight behind, what has gotten you to this point. But, man, we're here tonight because you guys went on and three-peated, 3 city championships in a row, 2016, 2017, 2018. I believe you guys are the first to do that since the Marshall team from the late 50s, early 60s.
Right.
So, what does that mean, to your legacy to go ahead and just continue to add notches to your belt?
Well, I talk to people about it all the time. I probably won't understand it until I'm done coaching. Right now it's to continue to win and continue to build. Those young men who've been in the program for the last 4 years, they have that opportunity. Just for them and their legacy is huge right now because the seniors, they going out the door. And to be able to say they won the teams and whoever won 3 in a row is huge, especially, since the 50s it was done. So that's good. I mean, we actually played 4 years in a row. Right. We ended up losing the bowl game and a heartbreaker. But just for those young men, it's real. It's special.
Now, we know you from the school of Bob Hambrick. Can you talk about his legacy and what following in his footsteps means to you? I mean, as far as state championships and city championships, you've surpassed him, but we know how strong his legacy is. But what does it mean to carry that Bob Hambrick legacy on? Well,
when he first, decided to give me the job, I was like, whoa, am I even going to be ready for this?
Right.
Because of who he was and all the things that he had built and did while he was there. So just taking on that role and being able to, be the next coach there was real huge for me. But he was there. I still talked to him a lot when he was there when I first got the job. He still was at practice. He still walked me through some stuff that I wasn't ready for. Right. And then, here come Derrick Rose, and he helped me out a whole lot, too, to get to the next level. That always helped. But Coach Hammer, he built Simeon. I'm just there keeping it up, and making sure that everything is going right. So that's his place. Like, when it was doing the floor over, everybody was like, well, you should put your name on the floor. But that's not my building. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's his building. He created that. So it was only right to put his name on the floor.
True.
Definitely. Man, you said it yourself. You said, it's not – well, I'm trying to imagine what could surprise you, at this stage of your career. Like you said, you coach, guys the likes of Derrick Rose. tell me what that experience was like to be coaching the guys polarizing as that early on in your head coaching career.
Well, it was great because we went through it together, and he was able to do some stuff that helped me out as well, Him being a phenom at that time, it kind of helped in some of those closer games when I needed the basket. I know I can go to him and he can get it. But just that process was huge to have somebody right there to help me go through the whole thing. So, with him and his teams that we had with them guys, them believing in me and trusting in me as a young coach at that time was huge for my success and theirs.
Cool, Coach. Now, you played at Simeon, right?
Yes.
Can you give us a little bit of background about your basketball history?
Yeah, well, I played there from 86 to 90. We ended up winning the city championship one time when I was there on the varsity level, but we won it twice on the sophomore level. So then I left there and played at the University of Baylor in Waco, Texas. And then I came back home and started coaching. But those years were great, under Coach Hambrick. I tell people all the time, when I was there playing, I didn't like him. I just thought he was this mean old man, But he was trying to instill in me how to be a man. Okay. And I didn't understand that because my father wasn't at home with me. So him instilling those things in me, I just thought he was being this mean old man. And I was like, I don't want to be bothered with him. But as I got older and went off to college with the stuff that he taught me, it helped me out by not having a father. So at the end of the day, I just figured it out and was like, man, he was just trying to teach me how to be a man. That's all.
Definitely, man. That's, exactly what, you're supposed to get from sports. Both me and Gene played sports. Gene did it way bigger than I did, but I definitely got that same lesson from you, from the game, how to be a man. But me and Gene talk a lot about if that's, still how it goes these days. Are you still able to grab the kids and be a mentor and be a father figure to these kids in the same way that it was, back when you were hooping?
Oh, yeah, it's still all the same. These young men, they definitely looking for that. Some of them, a lot of them now, they do have their fathers at home with them, which is good, but they want to see another outside light. Sometimes we get tired of listening to our parents all the time, and I could say something to them in a different voice, but saying it the same way that their parents saying, and they might get it from me. So it's still all the same, man. They call me for advice all the time. We talk about different things outside of just basketball, what's going to happen when that ball stop bouncing, those type of things. So it's still all the same. They looking for guidance. We just got to be able to give it to them.
Yeah, that's an ode to you as well, Rob, because anytime I talk to Taylor a lot, anytime I talk to Messiah or any of the other guys and I ask them about their availability or any of that, the first thing they say is, man, have you talked to Rob? And that just shows how much faith and how much they believe in you and just really how much that you mean to them as a coach and
how much they trust you.
Yeah, not even a father figure, but yeah, just how much trust they have in you. So that's word to you, Coach.
No, but me and Gene talk a lot about the differences in the game compared to when even I was hooping compared to when he was hooping. Do you see any differences in not just the level of play, but just as far as teaching the game and style of play and things like that?
Well, these kids are a lot more talented than we were at a younger age. Okay. The difference is they don't have the fundamentals. They can run and jump, and they bigger and stronger than we were at this time at our age, but the fundamentals they lack. So we do a lot of the fundamental things at practice all the time, which they think is kind of boring.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I always tell them what's going to separate you from somebody else who can run and jump as high as you can. And that's going to be the fundamentals. The great ones, they got the fundamentals down. That's why they so good. I mean, if you watch LeBron James and Kevin Durant, it's not their athletic ability. It's that they had the fundamentals down and they really understand the game. So that's the part I see that's the difference, is that these kids don't really have the fundamentals down. We have to get back to that at a young age.
That's real, man. I had talked to Jason Kidd maybe a year or so ago when he was still coaching the Bucks, and when Jabari was out, so he said, look at the court now and look at my team, and he was just pointing out the players and the ages. So he's like Jabari 22, Giannis 21, Thon Maker 20, and he was saying how the league is so young right now, and the difference was when they were coming up, there were vets in the league, so no BS was going on, and he was like the biggest difference now versus when we were coming up is like these kids feel entitled and like they don't work as hard and like they feel like they're owed the game. And like you said, the fundamental part of it is lost in all of it to me when I come out to a lot of these games. And special cases with with special programs like yours and Morgan Park and Curie and guys who've been around for a long time. But when you go to a lot of these games, it's a lot of lost fundamentals, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we see it all the time, so that's huge. But it goes back to our elementary schools. We got to do a better job down at those lower levels. Back to small fry, those people, they have to do a little bit more. And small fry is great. You know, all the kids they grew out of it too early now.
Right.
You know, we were real small, so a lot of them grew out of it, so they don't get those fundamentals early at an early age. So that's something that we have to implement back in the game at an early age. I think that's, you know, for the people looking out there and trying to understand, that's why the foreigners are catching up.
Right.
Because they spend a lot of time doing the fundamentals.
Right.
We're talking to Simeon's head coach, Robert Smith. We'll go ahead and go into our first break on the other end. We'll have Coach Smith here this entire hour to chop it up with us, man. Got some questions for you on the other end of this break, but we'll go ahead and go into it. We're live on WVON, the Talk of Chicago.
Rocking with the bigs.
We are right back at it. Live on WVON, the Talk of Chicago. You're rocking with the bigs. Live and direct here with Simeon's Rob Smith, Gino, talking about what's changed in the game.
Yeah, man, got to get back to those fundamentals. We argue all day on Facebook. Coach, it's funny. I'm always arguing with a couple of Simeon alum about the game, and we just want the best for the game, man. I love the kids. I love what everything's going on with the kids, but I just want to get back to that essence. You came out in 90. I came out in 94, so we're probably from that same era almost. You guys were a little tougher, so we got it from you, but it seems like something has been lost down the line. One thing, Coach, two-way player. Is that new? You hear that term that they use now, a two-way player?
Yeah, that's just some new terminology, but it's all the same.
Okay.
We've been doing that for years.
Because I'm thinking two-way player means he plays offense and defense. And first of all, we from the crib, so we had to get our stripes going to the playground. And the first way you got on was playing defense, being tough. And when I come to these games and I don't see the toughness, like I said, special cases, you guys, like Messiah Jones, man, is a special case of a guy who just brings his hard hat. He knows what he does well, and he does it. And that thing is lost to me nowadays, man.
That's definitely one of the parts of Messiah's game. I'm glad you brought up Messiah because I wanted to talk to Rob a little bit about something he said earlier in the season. But like you said, Gene, I love the way Messiah plays out of his body. He definitely plays bigger than he is. You look at, how he affects the game, and then you realize he's only 6'5", and you're like, what? So I definitely love what he does. But, Coach, early on this season, you said something that me and Gene really talked about, for the rest of the season after you said it. You said that this Simeon squad is your most dominant team, and we immediately thought about the team with Rose and Tim Flowers and Jabari and, just the squad you've had over time. And, that really made us talk. So I would love if you could elaborate on that and give us a little bit of insight into this squad. 3-time city champions. But, what, stands out in your mind as far as this team you have right now?
Well, the biggest difference in this team is they just business. When they step out on the court, it's all business. They having fun. They doing all those different things. And it's just different times right now when you're saying dominant. They're a dominant team in this era. I think people got it kind of mixed up when you said dominant. It's this era. I don't know if they'd have been dominant 10 years ago when Derek then was playing. I don't know if they'd have been dominant 5 years ago when Jabari then was playing, but they're dominant now. And the way they go out and take care of business, it's just a different animal. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's no nothing. We can make some adjustments and timeouts, and they just go. You look at the score, we be up 2. The next thing you know, we up 16, and it goes quick. So in that time, I'm just saying in this era, they're probably the most dominant team I had in the last 4 or 5 years. It's hard to put those teams together.
Right.
I mean, because you got Jabari, who's 6'9". We don't have a 6'9" kid now. You got Derek then with Tim Flowers and Derek and Brandon Hall. It just was a different era of basketball. So for what they're doing right now, they're definitely the most dominant team that we have.
Okay. Now we know the history of Simeon, the legends coming from the building, going back as far as Ben Wilson, Nick Anderson, back when I was playing Brian Notary, Kevin Turner, up until Jabari, D. Rose. And now you got Taylor Horton-Tucker, who I feel like was snubbed from the All-American, McDonald's All-American team. But we know the politics and all of that with the summer ball and all of that. But you have a leader now, Taylor Horton-Tucker, who's, following that Simeon pride. Can you talk about his growth? We've seen him, I think, when did we see him from his sophomore year?
Definitely since his sophomore year when we started doing our thing.
Yeah, we've seen him grow so much. Talk about Taylor, man.
Yeah, you could see it early, that he had a chance to be really good. The biggest thing at the very beginning was his weight.
Okay.
To see how was he going to lose weight, or was he going to lose weight, or how he was going to be able to play him. So it was kind of hard at the very beginning, but just realizing, he just turned 17 2 months ago.
Right.
And he has a 7'1" wingspan. He wears a size 15 shoe. So eventually he was going to grow into that body.
Right.
And his versatility out there at the very beginning, his mind was doing things and his body wouldn't let him do it.
Okay.
So as he started to get older and started to lose the weight, his body and mind was on the same page, and now he's just taking off as probably one of the top. To me, I may be a little biased, but he's probably one of the top 15, 20 players in the country, because when we went out this year and played the top teams in the country, he held his own against and outplayed a lot of them. So, I don't know what other everybody else is looking at, but
that's exactly what I was about to say, Coach. I don't know too many people that will argue with that fact at this point. Maybe at the beginning of the season, where speaking at the beginning of the season, in Taylor, first of all, I can't front, like you said. We've watched Taylor grow into, definitely one of the top players locally, but nationally on that stage, being able to put up the numbers and put on the show the way he has this year. But it started a little bit rocky as far as his recruitment before we got the season kicked off. And Taylor's a good kid. From my perspective, I hated seeing all the outside noise that was affecting the environment around Taylor and the freedom that he had to make the decision of where he wanted to go to school. But, man, I was interested then to hear your perspective, and I'm even more interested, now to hear it, seeing all the success you guys have pulled in this season.
Well, a lot of it, kind of got thrown out of proportion because some adults. It don't have nothing to do with no kids. This all about some adult stuff. So at the end of the day, Iowa State was his first choice anyway. Illinois came in and did their job and was knocking at the door to be able to get him, and so was Xavier. But it was Iowa State from the start because they was the first ones who offered him. Right. And for that kid, he's just a good kid. So when they gave out the offer so early, it was like they really like me.
Right.
And over the summer they was at every one of his AAU games. That was every place they were supposed to be. They did their homework. They did everything they were supposed to do. So he went to Illinois, and it kind of shocked him like, oh, wait, I possibly can stay at home, and I possibly can go here, and this probably could be good. But at the end of the day, he just felt like Iowa State was the best thing for him because of what they have coming back next year. And he needed to be around a group of people that was going to be able to help him get through the process of where he's trying to get to. It's kind of hard for a kid like that to go into a program and just be able to turn it around as a freshman. That's kind of hard. But at Iowa State, they're going to have some juniors and seniors that's going to be able to help him get over the hump.
Right.
And I think that was the biggest thing when we did it at the end the day before. We looked at rosters, and when we got to looking at rosters, he was like, "This roster fits me," and I'm like, "It does fit you because
right.
First of all, they don't have nobody coming back play his position." That's the biggest thing. Yeah. That's why it fits you. And you're going to be playing your natural position. You're not going to be moved around playing the 4 spot and all that. So,
definitely, Coach, man. On the other end of this, we'll get into a little bit more in-depth conversation about your legacy. And we want to get into some phone calls. Go ahead and blow that line up. Come rock with us at 773-591-1690. We'll jump back in it after this break. You're rocking with the Bigs on WVON, the Talk of Chicago.
Like we always do about this time.
You're rocking with the Bigs. Welcome back to the show.
Right back at it. Halftime. You're rocking with the Bigs on WVON, the Talk of Chicago. I'm your man, Terrence Tomlin. My partner needs no introduction. We're live with Simeon's. I'm going to go ahead and call him legendary, man. We got one of Chicago's best sitting with us tonight, man. Coach Rob Smith from Simeon.
I called him the last time we talked. Well, it was the last week. I called him the field. He looked at me. He didn't want to crack a smile, but I called him the field jack of this high school thing, man. But
Zen master.
Coach, you might have Phil faded, man. You get one this year, it's over with for Phil. We call him. You're gonna have to start saying, man, they the Rob Smith of this thing, right?
Yes, sir.
On the real.
But no, man, call in 773-591-1690. If you got a question for Simeon's Rob Smith, I'm sure you do, man. How could you not have a question for Rob Smith?
Man, and coming out the break, we were talking about, this is personal, man. We were talking about Taylor's choice of Illinois, Iowa State, and whatever other choices he had. Xavier, I think it was Xavier. But for me, I'm not a fan of Illinois ever since they didn't get that gig to Jimmy Collins back in the day, man. So I'm going to just leave it at that. And but, yeah, we got Coach in the building. Coach, man, epic city championship last Sunday, man. You guys beat Orr by 10. Me and T said that was the game everybody was waiting for. It was the outcome most of us predicted. Orr is a tough ball club, but for some reason I figured you guys would get to that old Simeon, 83rd and Vincennes basketball and pull it out at the end.
Yeah, it was a great game. Most importantly, the crowd. You know, I looked up at one point and looked around and seen the whole arena crowd. I'm like, now this Chicago basketball.
Period.
You know, and that was huge for us. And for both teams. I mean, both sides of town came out to support their teams. You know, it was a peaceful event. It was West Side versus South Side, you know, and we was able to give out a good game. And that's what everybody wanted to see. You know, those two teams, and 1 and 2, best two teams in the city at this point, to match up out there. And I thought they gave us a great effort. You know, our guys just pulled it out at the end and made some plays down the stretch.
Now, you know, you spoke about the atmosphere, and it definitely was the most cracking atmosphere of all last season. Well, of all this season, excuse me. But, man, you know, we always wondering when we're going to get that state tournament back onto Chicago grounds, and that's what the crowd made me think of. It's like, if we can pull this kind of energy from the south side of Chicago, then why not bring the state championship to Wintrust or to the, you know, to the United Center, or even the Sears Center. We got our man John Alexander, the photographer for the Windy City Bulls, in here. But, you know, even the Sears Center, right. You know. And I know that's something that you would, you know, that you would be an advocate for. What you think about that?
Yeah, I think Wintrust is probably the ideal because it gives you an avenue to do some things while you're here.
Right.
You know, you right downtown, you better go shopping, you better see our city. A lot of different things you can be able to do while you're there. But I think that would be ideal, is to move it here. We got some basketball junkies in town. You know, and they'll love to be able to come here and go to all of it, 1A through 4, you know, and I think it'll be a good look. So I think the bid is coming up in a couple years, and I think Wintrust is definitely going to put their bid in. Only thing, you got to see what's going to be going on with DePaul at that time, if they're going to be able to turn it around and be playing or whatever. But we just have to see. I think it'll be a good look for us, though.
That's real, man. Wintrust is definitely the spot right now. But speaking of Chicago State University, I got my boy over there, T, been holding the state down for about, man, how long you been working at the state, man? 99. Seems like forever. 99. But talking about Chicago State, you guys won the city championship last year, and you guys were led by Keezo Brown. I was at Hales last week, and I was randomly watching some hoop, and Keezo popped up in one of the games, and he had 50. Can you let the people know the latest on Keezo?
Well, he's just playing in the men's league right now. Still playing, trying to keep a rhythm. He will be going to Chicago State.
Okay.
When it's all said and done. Great kid. I tease people all the time and just said, y'all think, what if we had Keezo out here too? Then this thing would really be ugly.
Man.
But, we still got our full support. You know, we honored him at senior night.
Yeah.
You know, so he's still part of the family. You know, if we happen to win the 4A state championship, he'll get a ring as well.
Oh, man,
because he's still part of the family. So we still love him just like our brother, and we're going to support him all the way through.
Real.
Man, that's what you love to hear. You know, we've all supported Keezo, and we know how Simeon likes to the reputation that you guys bring to the table is the family feel that, you know, you would hope you would get from a young basketball team. But, man, this scene is like a community. You know, we always see you and Coach Slaughter you and Nick Irvin may, have a conversation off the court. Can you talk a little bit about the coaches community in Chicago and the state of it? Because it's always funny when I talk to Gene. It's different opinions about guys like Nick Irvin. It's different opinions about guys like Coach Slaughter. But collectively, you guys all get along. So can you talk about it a little bit for me?
Yeah, we friends. We competitors, though.
Right.
So when we get across those lines, it's about winning. All the friendship part go out the window until them zeros go on the clock. Man. So it's not personal. We talk all the time on different things, especially when we in this part of the season because we're playing teams who are from the Catholic school system and all these. So we teams that we've played, we get other coaches' ideas on what they can do and things like that because we want CPS to be successful. So it's not like people make it out to be like we don't like each other and we don't talk. That's not it. I talked to Coach Slaughter earlier today. I talked to Nick yesterday. I talked to Twin at earlier today. So we communicate with each other all the time. It's not like that. Like I said, we just all competitors and we want to win. And that's all of us. That's the great thing about our coaches here, that we all want to win. So we putting in all the work to try to do it. So, it does get a little heated. That's just like us sitting around talking basketball. It's going to get heated. Yeah. So it gets to that point, but it's never to the fact where, we don't like each other and we're not going to talk to each other. That's not it.
Okay. Getting back to the Wolverines. Now, we know Taylor gets a lot of the attention over there, but it's a collective effort. You got guys like Messiah Jones committed to Drake, Xavier Pinson committed to Missouri. You got Zion Young. He could be a star on any team out there. It was funny. I was talking to Terrence, and we were watching. So in the second quarter of the game last week, Zion Young hadn't gotten in the game yet. So I was just watching him on the bench, and I could tell that he was just itching. He kept looking at you. And it was funny. I told Terrence, just watch him. It's cool to watch a kid go through the emotion because we've been there before. I've been there before. And watch him, but keep his head. And when you threw him in the game, man, he came right in, made a huge effect on the game, and then that tip dunk he had might have been the player of the game. So can you talk about the rest of the guys, Bakari Simmons, and what they mean to this thing? That's the only way this thing can happen is if everybody's in tune, right?
Yeah, definitely. They're huge. Everybody accept their roles, and that's the hardest thing to do when you talked about the entitlement part earlier. These guys are bought in, and they accepting their roles, whatever it may be. And then, like you said, when you get a Xavier Pinson who comes off the bench and you get a Zion Young who comes off the bench, and that's huge for our team because they accepted their role. And I think it was about 3 weeks ago, we were thinking about making a lineup change. And we were thinking about putting Xavier in the starting lineup. And when we mentioned it, he was like, Coach, we winning. Don't change it. Just keep it the way it is. So I don't want to go in a lineup and mess something up. Yep. We already used to playing like this, so just go ahead and keep it that way. So that's huge for a kid that's already got a Division I scholarship. All kids want to start, but he was just willing to say, okay, if we're going to win, I'll continue to come off the bench. So that's huge for him. Testament to who he is as a young man and as a person and our ball club. And I think that's why we've been so successful this year, that whatever we've put in front of people, they accepted that role and went out and did it.
Yeah, that's what we talked about with Cameron Smith last week is, we could really look at your roster like a super team as far as no matter, what point of the game, you could bring somebody in that can affect the game immediately. And, they've definitely brought into that message. So, moving forward, do you think you guys are at a point, focus-wise, where you guys can't be beat?
Well, today I saw something I hadn't seen in a while. We were full of energy in practice today. Guys were diving on the floor. They was getting after it. And I think we're kind of focused on what we're trying to do. Like I told them, nothing is guaranteed. You can go out there and not play well and get beat. So you got to be prepared and you got to be mentally focused and you got to be ready to go. And the biggest thing for us is that, that X is so big on our back, it's ridiculous. And they got to understand that. So they've been business-like all this year, so hopefully they can continue to do that. But it's not going to be easy just because it's so big on our back. Everybody just assuming that we already won the state championship. And right. I'm just trying to keep these guys level-headed and understand that you got to go play the game.
Yeah, I think you guys are primed and prepped. I think that national schedule you guys played has definitely gotten you ready for this, next 5 or 6 game run that you need to make the cipher complete. But what do you think about that first year of that super conference where all the teams combined? How do you think that worked out?
I mean, it was okay. It wasn't, as super as everybody thought it was going to be.
Right.
Just because some teams wasn't as good as they were supposed to be because of transfers and things to that nature. So that kind of affected it a little bit. And then some of the travel, was kind of hard too. Kerry trying to get from Archer and Pulaski over to 83rd and Vincennes, that's not going to, in Chicago at 5 o'clock, that's just not going to be hard. Yeah. It's not going to be easy. So some of that stuff, I thought it went well, but they had to look into some of that stuff. That travel stuff is really important. If we're going to do that, we may have to push the time of the games back a little bit, just so people can get there. Because if I'm telling you guys the game going to start at 5 o'clock and they can't get a bus to 4 to travel all around, that's not good to the fans either. So
true.
Coach, one of the things that, I wanted to make sure we talked about with you today is, we're a Sunday show, so we got to digest all of the news that went in during the week. And we actually got a nice little chunk of news a couple of days ago as far as the NCAA goes. Probably the biggest open secret in sports is that at the next level, these guys are paying players or giving them benefits that are against NCAA regulations.
Right.
But now we have names to add to the list. And, Arizona's coach, Sean Miller, and DeAndre Ayton, and homeboy from the Mavericks, Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith, yeah. Markelle Fultz, keep going.
Yeah, FBI is involved, talking about they got 3,000 hours worth of conversations. But, man, so does that kind of news, catch your ears, and what do you think about that when we hear news like that? Because we hear it often.
Well, it's been going on for years.
Yeah.
Just be real about it.
Yeah, it's an open secret.
But the biggest thing is I think they need to pay the players. If you're going to take away from them being able to go straight out of high school to be a professional, then you should pay them. That's just the bottom line. They should be getting paid if you're going to take that option from them. If you're going to let them go straight out, then they can go and opt out. I heard one GM say, well, we're trying to help them be successful. Well, there's guys who stay in college for 4 years and go to the pros, and they only there for a year or two, and then they out the league.
Right.
So why not let somebody 18 go have a chance to do it? At least they may be able to go to seas or do some different stuff, or just pay them. The easiest thing to do to get that out of the way is just to pay them.
Hey, man, y'all heard Coach Rob loud and clear. Just pay him, man. Don't make us ride down on y'all, man. We got a call on the line. This our boy Vinny Mo. V-Mo, what's good, brother?
What's going on, brothers? How y'all feel, man?
Man, it's all love.
It's all love, V. What's up?
Yes, sir, man. I just wanted to call in. What's going on, Rob? How you feel, brother?
I'm good, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, this is what I want to know, Rob. Is this been the most challenging team, talent depth? Has this been, the most challenging season for you since you've been coaching? Or what other team did you feel you had that depth where it was kind of hard to coach and, coexist, the players and stuff?
Well, this group is good, because the other sides, they respect each other. Some years ago, we had a group of kids where we had to play 5 in and 5 out. That's just how talented we was.
Right.
Where we shuffled the guys out for every 4 minutes. And then you played, and then we got to that fourth quarter, whoever was playing the best, we mixed them together. So that team was really hard because we had so many guys who could play, to get them out there and so they could be successful. So, and we actually won a state championship that year with those guys. So, and we lost 2 games that year, and the 2 games that we lost is the time that I didn't do 5 in, 5 out. I had kind of mixed up my coaching style for that situation, and we ended up losing to Whitney Young, and we ended up losing to Bennett. But then when we got to the state playoffs, I went back to it, and we ended up winning state. So, these guys that I have now, they respect each other's game. All they want to do is win. That's all you hear them say is they want to win. They won city, now they want to win state. So it's easy when you got everybody buying in what's going on.
That's what's up. Hey, well, that's what's up. Hey, man, love, man. And shit, I'm biased in the mug, man. Simeon gonna win this whole thing, baby.
Hey, V-Mo, go ahead,
yes,
go ahead, put on for Taylor. I know you want to do it. Go ahead, man.
Man, Taylor Horton-Tucker, THT, the best player in the nation, baby. Hands down. He shut down R.J. Barrett. What more can we say, Gino?
Run them stats, Vic.
No, that's all.
Hey, I love y'all, man. Y'all know I had to call in, man.
All day
Always,
love,
Vic,
brother.
always.
Yes, sir, brother.
No.
All right.
But yeah, Coach V brought up a good point. It's interesting to talk about, like, what would be your toughest season as a coach, or, you know, do you have a loss that just you can't get over, that just makes you so sick that even with all these wins that you still, you know, think about?
It's a bunch of them.
Okay.
You know, I'm a sore loser, so
I heard that.
You know, I tell the kids all the time. I mean, my son can't beat me in nothing. I'm not gonna let him win.
You can't spot him a win.
No, not gonna happen. So he actually pretty good in 2K right now, and he been beating me, so I don't play him because he keep winning. So I don't want him laughing at me like I got you, Daddy. So I don't play him. So I don't want him beat me. But you know, it's a bunch of them. You know, I think at a certain level, I gave away some games as the coach. I think it's something the players then gave away. You know, in a collective effort, it's on all of us, but it's some stuff that we could do different. You know, I think if I go back right now and go back to last year's state championship game, it's some stuff I do different for us to be able to win. So, you know, I'm holding myself accountable for a lot of the stuff too. And like I tell the kids, when you're a man, you admit when you're wrong or you made a mistake. So, you know, we get in the locker room after the game, and I say, hey, we lost the game, but I'm going to put this one on me because it's some stuff I could have did different for us to be able to win, you know, and y'all just got to take it. We all just got to man up and take it. So, you know, that's something that I've always been doing since I've been coaching. It's like, hey, I make mistakes too, and I want y'all to understand that. I ain't just going to put this all on y'all.
Right. No, that's real, Coach. Going back to Taylor for a second, big shoes to fill, playing – not even big shoes to fill, but knowing the Simeon history and having Derrick Rose and Jabari Parker, MVP, just NBA in general. Do you think he feels the pressure of those guys before him and just filling in those type of shoes? And if so, what advice have you given him?
Well, that's what he wanted. You know, at the end of last year, you know, he came in and said, hey, look, you know, I want to be the guy. Everything going to fall on me. I just want you to trust me. And when you come in and say that, then, hey, here you go. This your team. You go ahead and do the stuff. But just remember, when things don't go right, it falls back on you. Yep. So you got to be able to handle it. And if you can't handle it, then we got to move on and find somebody who's going to be able to handle those wins and losses. You know, so he's been doing a great job of being able to handle it. And as you can see, when the games get tight, he steps up in different ways because he didn't put this pressure on himself to be able to do that. So it's been great, you know, coaching him, you know, all the way through because he's a great kid and he's trying to learn, he's trying to figure it out, and it's been great so far.
Yeah, man, we've gradually seen Taylor basically break out of his shell. You know, that's one of the things I've enjoyed so far about late in the season and his postseason is that he got a little nasty streak to him that he didn't have early in the season. But let's go ahead and jump into a break. On the other side of this, Coach, I want to ask you a couple of questions about our man Derrick Rose and what's going on in his career as of today. So we'll jump back into it on the other side of this break. You're rocking with the Bigs live on WVON, the Talk of Chicago. Right back, Daddy. You're rocking with the Bigs on WVON, the Talk of Chicago.
Man, before we get going with Coach Rob, before we end this thing, man, that Death Row Suge Knight is something else, ain't he?
Oh, Suge is the man. Suge is the man. You got to respect this gangster, you know?
Oh, man, we from the land of gangsters, vice lords, Blackstones, Four Corner, any gang you name, they here, man. So I know how Suge was riding down on cats trying to get the job done, man.
And I almost felt guilty talking over that Let Me Ride, Dr. Dre. From the Chronic, I almost had to let that spin.
Man, epic times, man. That was such an epic time in life, man. If you wasn't 14, at least 14 then. Whew.
I definitely wasn't 14 then, but I got some stories to tell about the Chronic. Shout out to Uncle Daryl for this keeping the CD on tuck for us.
Shout out to Uncle Daryl, man. But yeah, we back live. Simeon head coach, the legend in the making, Coach Rob in the building. Before we get to D Rose, Coach, man, Kendall Nunn snapping this year, man. Is he lottery? Is he lottery?
I don't know about lottery, but his name gonna be called.
Okay.
His name should be called.
Okay. Shout out to my boy Rick Gray, Gray Sports Area Management. I'm not sure if that's the name of the agency, but
that's it.
Rick pushing the number out there trying to get it going.
No, before we get out of here, Rick. I'm sorry, Rob. Talk about our man Rick. I almost called you his name, but man, we got to get your opinion on D Rose, man. We spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks talking about the state of his career. Got traded from the Cavs to the Utah Jazz, then bought out from his contract there. Now we're wondering what playoff team is going to pick this man up and give him a chance to prove, that he still has game. Because when you look at the details, when you look at him on the hardwood, you still see, the things that made him special, the speed, the quickness, the instincts around the rim. And it's hard for me to accept that it's not a team in this league that could benefit from his services. So I would love to know what you thought about that.
There's a bunch of teams that could use him. I mean, I don't know what they're looking at, but I thought the whole Cleveland thing wasn't good for him anyway. That's my personal opinion, because how LeBron has to dominate the ball, and Derek has to have the ball in his hand too. That's why I think the thing didn't really work out with Kyrie, and LeBron, and not when you got guys who like to dominate the ball, that LeBron has to dominate the ball the way he plays. I mean, he's a point guard, really, But I thought, for his career, for Derek, for his career, he should have went to some place like San Antonio or, the Clippers or something like that, where he'd have been able to have the ball in his hand and they let the point guards have the ball. And he's the type of person that has to have the ball in his hand. So, I mean, we've been here in Washington, we've been here in Minnesota, a couple of different places that he may land. Those are playoff teams. So hopefully, somebody go in and say, okay, let's give him a chance and see what happens, because I think he can make both of those teams better.
Yeah, I definitely think, like T, we talk about this all day, every day. Me personally, Coach, I remember Pooh told us the game wasn't fun to him anymore, and I can feel him in a way just by him being naturally athletic and having that natural ability and being able to do it like second nature versus tearing his ACL. Now you got to get up in the morning, go to rehab, work out 2 to 3 hours before you even step foot on the basketball court. So I can see how that would kind of weigh on him a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you can't physically play, then the mental and everything else really doesn't matter if you can't physically play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm pretty sure it took a toll on him. Half his career he was rehabbing.
Right.
So that'll take a toll on you and make you not love something too. The game that you say you love. But, I mean, I saw some clips of him the other day doing some workouts, and it looked good to me. Yeah. So I wish I was a GM, because I'll be picking him up. But hopefully something happens soon here. I mean, we're getting close to – I think we're close to like 20-some games. It was 25 games the other day. Yeah. Hopefully somebody pick him up for the playoffs and he able to show, some other people that he still can play and he worthy of being out there.
Come on, San Antonio, man. You guys just lost Kawhi. John Wall is not playing for the Wizards. Go ahead and give our boy Rose a call, man. But one of the things I love at the beginning of every season of high school basketball is seeing the newcomers, seeing when Taylor leaves, who's going to be next up to take the Simeon keys, and drive him to that next city championship, the next state championship. So, who you have in your back pocket waiting to throw out on this in these next couple of years, Rob?
I can't tell you that, man.
No, I'm just joking. Top secret info.
Well, if you, I mean, you guys been at the games. If you look at it, the last playoff games, Kiwan Clemens been coming up, not just on the defensive end, but offensively too. The things that he can definitely do out there on the court. So, I mean, when Taylor walks across the stage, the keys will be handed over to him, so he can take us to the promised land and with that next group that we got coming in.
No doubt, man. And then with the Frostoff squad, we see B. Hall, Lil Will, Ahmad Bynum. So, yeah, man, Simeon is always stacked, always ready to go. And, man, we always look forward to building with you, Coach. It's a pleasure to see what you've done over there to carry on the legacy of Coach Hambrick, but also building your own thing over there, man. And I've run into you all over the summers, dating back to the Pro-Ams, and just watching you do your thing, man. And it's ode to you, man, doing it your way, Coach.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's good. Just giving back, basically. I could be definitely coaching college right now, but when those jobs come open, I always look back and say, who gonna, take these young men and keep them looking forward and those things. So, this thing ain't about money with me. It's about helping some young men become men. So that's the hugest thing in my book right now. you know, I'm pretty sure at my house they'd like for me to go to college and get some more chips, but I'm going to stay here and help these young men.
Coach, that's music to our ears, man. We always wonder who's going to be the next coach to take that step onto the collegiate level. You know, we always, you know, come back to your name, so it's cool to hear that you know, stay here where it's authentic and you keep it good. So, man, it was another great installment of Rocking with the Big. Simeon's Rob Smith held it down for us the whole hour. Nothing but family members in the building. GTD fam in the building. Paper transfers family in the building.
Everybody in the building. It's a family affair. But you know what we do over here at the Bigs, man. We keep it player. We stay away from the haters. We spread love. We show love. But most importantly, man, we always keep it player. It ain't nothing but players over here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, man, let's go ahead and wrap it up. You know I'm always looking forward to next Sunday, 11 p.m. to midnight. Hey, we may have to go ahead and jump up another hour here, man. It always seems like it's not enough time, man, but we love kicking it with the people.
And, man, our Black History Month shout-out goes out to the Black 14, man. If y'all don't do the knowledge on that, go to Google, put in the Black 14, and do yourself some justice, man. Love Coach Rob. Shout out to everybody tuning in. You rocking with the Bigs on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago.